What is good? This is unexpected. I wasn't planning on doing anything until next Friday, but I got a request for the thought on Transformers from 2007. I do read the comments and I do appreciate the support I'm getting. And also, why not? So let's get it. Now, Transformers is a movie I've already watched before. This isn't some new movie I'm reviewing right now. I watched that when it came out in theaters in 2007. Honestly, I really enjoyed it. It was a really fun movie to watch. It had a lot of comedy, a lot of action. It did have its fair share of problems though, which is typical for Michael Bay films. I like Michael Bay films in that they're visually satisfying. If you ever watch a Michael Bay film, I don't know how to explain, like the visual, like the contrast and coloring, the cinematography and everything is done very, very well. So I applaud Michael Bay for that. If I were ever gonna have like a film directed or something, I would want Michael Bay to do the cinematography, especially if it's like an action film or something, because he's really good at that. Now, Transformers is a really long movie, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because it allows you to build tension and build anticipation towards the climax of the movie. The issue with it is the way that time is spent. So the movie's called Transformers, and the Autobots you would think would be, I mean, maybe not the main protagonist, as Sam Witwicky is a main protagonist, and that's fine, but it's called Transformers. You don't see any Autobots, outside of Bumblebee, you don't see any Autobots until more than an hour after the movie begins. Until then, you just see a helicopter Decepticon, which of course, that isn't clarified, that isn't explained in the movie. You just know it's an alien robot. That's all you know. And then the Scorpion Transformer thing, and the thing that turned into a radio on Air Force One, which was a completely wasted scene because they show the Secretary of Defense, and that's cool, he's doing his job and everything, but you attacked Air Force One, and the only time you see the president is ordering a ho-ho. That's it. That's the entire purpose of that scene, is for this Decepticon to get on there, hack Air Force One, and steal military secrets. But you could have just cut that scene out, because you still haven't explained anything that's going on. You just know this alien robot's attacking and trying to hack the U.S. Database and everything, but you're not really explaining anything other than that. So that was a completely wasted scene that honestly could have been cut out. But yeah, you don't see any Autobots until after an hour, like an hour after the movie begins. And you see Bumblebee and then that scene where I think he was calling the Autobots to come to Earth. But other than that, you just see him as a car, and that's fine too. But you can't have a movie called Transformers and have no Autobots, or at least the good guys, coming until an hour after the movie begins, because then you have no development of these characters, because each one of them are supposed to be unique characters. Ironhide is a weapon specialist, Optimus is obviously the leader, and Bumblebee is a soldier, but he's also the guardian and protector of Sam. And I cannot remember the other one, the one that's the medic. Yeah, so they have all their unique roles and everything, but you don't even get to see them much. You don't get to develop them and like build their character and build towards this climax of the movie with the Decepticons, because you don't even show that many Decepticons either. And I think the Decepticons actually had more screen time than the Autobots did, which was ridiculous. So instead, in like the first part of the movie, before the Autobots are even introduced or anything, it spends that time fast cutting between the Pentagon and the soldiers that were attacked, and I think it was Qatar and Sam. And the soldiers obviously were attacked, so they're still dealing with that. Sam's just doing his high school stuff and whatnot, and you just spend a lot of time on that instead of just introducing these characters that are crucial to this film in order for it to be called Transformers. Unless we just want to have a movie about humans versus Decepticons, which is fine too, I suppose. But you didn't even do that. You just spent an hour or so of the movie throwing a lot of comic line, like funny moments and everything, and it was very enjoyable. I'm not saying it's bad. It's very fun to watch. It makes time go by fast, because Transformers is a very long movie, but you don't really feel that time because you're having a great time watching it. That's not the problem, but it could have been so much better. If they had spent the first hour or so of the movie, it could have been much better, because all that happened is that it led to a climax that was lackluster. You did not get to build these characters at all, and then when you finally have the climax at Mission City, where they're trying to hide the Allspark from the Decepticons, Megatron doesn't even have that much screen time, so you don't even get to build the villain of the movie. Even he doesn't get any development, and then all we know is that he's as Sam says, like the harbinger of death and stuff. He shows up and he just like whoops everybody's ass and everything. And he has a fight with Optimus Prime, who's the leader of the Autobots. So you would expect a more epic fight than that, but we didn't even get that either. We got nothing. I remember the moment where Optimus Prime says he'll sacrifice himself if he can't defeat Megatron. The fight lasts like 2 seconds. Like, what kind of climax is that? I mean, the rest of the movie was enjoyable, but the climax was horrible. And that's not even the problem with this one only, because that happens in the next movie as well. The Revenge of the Fallen, the same thing happens. You have a short climax, or at least a short fight between Optimus Prime and the Fallen. Like, they just revive Optimus Prime, he just goes over there, defeats them in like 2 seconds, and that's it. That's the entire climax. And then on the human side too, you don't really get any or much character development from these characters, because Sam, all he spends his entire time just being a high school kid and being funny. That's basically all that happens on Sam's end. And the soldiers, I think the soldiers probably had the best one because it was more consistent. They were attacked, they were trying to get to a base to get back home, and then the second they get back home, they're called into action again. So it was more consistent with them. And then at the Pentagon, it cuts a lot to these students. I don't know what school they go to, or if it mentions it or anything, but they essentially just solve the hack and everything. But you don't even know their names. Like, I don't even know their names, and I just watched the movie like 2-3 days ago, and I don't know her name anyway. It works better in movies like The Avengers, where you have so many characters, but each one of those characters has been in other movies before, so you are already comfortable with them, you're familiar with them. In this movie, you have so many characters, so many actors, but they're not that important. I mean, you can cut out so many characters and the movie would have still been great, because it was still funny. You still have stuff blowing up, which is the majority of what people say Transformers is great, because things blow up and it's funny. And I'm not disagreeing with that. It is full of action and it's funny and it's great and it's fun to watch. But other than that, like, what can you really say about this movie that's great? Nothing. The acting wasn't that great. The plot wasn't that great. The climax wasn't that great. The build-up wasn't that great. That's pretty much it. Just the comedy and the action. And Michael Bay's cinematography. Again, I love his cinematography. I may not like him as a director, but I love his cinematography. So personally, I would have shortened the build-up so that the Autobots were introduced earlier than they were. I would have probably cut the students from whatever school that were working at the Pentagon. You could have cut them out, honestly. You did not need them in the movie at all, because they weren't funny. If their only role was to solve the hack and everything and figure all that out, you could have just had someone at the Pentagon do that. You didn't need to bring these characters in. Anthony Anderson helped in the just like breaking down the code that was in that signal. But again, comedic relief. Anthony Anderson is funny. I like Anthony Anderson, but that was basically his entire role in the movie. Every time he's on the screen, he's making you laugh. So they could have cut all those characters out, because there was already plenty of comedy, and Shia LeBeouf and his parents, who were literally every single time, again, every time they were on the screen, they were just making you laugh. That was in their entire role. And was it John Turturro? And he's a great actor, but he was also funny. So you had plenty of comedy. You could have just cut these characters out and had more time for the Autobots and for the Transformers that are supposed to be in this movie but don't have that much screen time, or at least the Autobots don't. The Decepticons, if I'm not mistaken, have more screen time. So yeah, I would have cut that out. I would have definitely added more time for Megatron, because he didn't really get much time. The only thing is that he crashed at the North Pole and he's being kept under the Hoover Dam, and then he wakes up and he dies. That's his entire role in the movie. Another problem I had with the movie is that because there's so much comedy, it doesn't feel as serious as it should be. I mean, you have alien robots, you have cybernetic organisms coming, hacking the US military database, and I mean, they're a threat to our planet, but it doesn't feel that dire, it doesn't feel that serious, because they're always trying to be funny. When Jar Turturro's character comes to Sam's house because he's been in contact with alien organisms, what happens? Immediately the Autobots come, Bumblebee pisses on him, and it just makes a comedy scene out of all this that's going on. And in the beginning, when Captain Lennox is talking to his wife and he's seeing his baby for the first time, he's trying to make a joke out of it, he's trying to make it funny. Like, don't make it funny, make it personal, so that way it means more at the end of the movie. But they didn't do that. In fact, they didn't even bring that back up. Like, you thought they would have been brought back up, like all that stuff, because when he gets called, him and his team get called back, to deal with the Transformers and whatnot, you think they would have put a little bit more resistance. Hey, I want to go home, I want to see my family, but instead he has to go back into action rather than letting someone else deal with that, because someone else could have dealt with that, honestly, because nothing really happened. Like, all they did was go to a city and the Autobots did most of the work, so they didn't even need to be there. But anyway, if he would have put up more resistance and made it more personal, that would have been better. Also, minor things, but they still bother me. The chick from the Pentagon, the way she takes the data and she takes it to her friend, she takes the data to him, and you think you're gonna take data from the Pentagon and just take it to someone's house and they're not gonna find you? Like, that doesn't make any sense. That really doesn't make any sense at all. So that was incredibly stupid. That was very, very stupid. I don't even know why they put that in the film, because you bring it to this character, you don't explain who he is, you have no idea who this guy is, you just assume he's a hacker. He's doing that for all of 2 seconds before the police or whoever comes in there and stops them. I mean, obviously, you have to be really stupid to steal data from the Pentagon and take it to your friend's house. So yeah, that could have just been cut out, honestly, because again, they didn't really do much in the movie except solve all these questions, which they could have just had someone at the Pentagon do. So that was just there for comedic relief, because that's basically what Anthony Anderson was. When right when the action picked up and everything, when I think Barricade was his name, the Decepticon that was a cop car, when he finally reveals himself and he chases Sam, he bitch slaps Sam across the garage or parking lot or whatever that was. He bitch slaps him across, and if I'm not mistaken, it's a Saline S281. I cannot remember the exact model, but yeah, I think it weighs just under 4,000 pounds. If that much weight is hitting you at that speed, you are getting crushed. You should be dead. Your blood should be splattered everywhere if you're getting hit the way he got bitch slapped across that garage. But he didn't, like, even if you got love tapped, even if you just love tapped him straight in the head, love tap straight in the head, even if you had that, you would still be hospitalized. Your bones would still be broken, because at the way he was running at that top speed, if you just got a love tap from a car, you're going straight to the hospital. And maybe you might die even from that. But he got bitch slapped across, and he was completely fine. He got up, no broken bones, no bruises, no blood, no nothing. So that was dumb. Yeah, I'm gonna actually stop right here, because I'm gonna go on a rant on all the things that I don't like about the movie, and I don't want to do that because I actually enjoy the movie. It's a really fun movie to watch. If you have not watched it, I mean, a lot of people have, but if you haven't watched it, watch it. You're gonna have a great time. You're gonna laugh. It'll be a blast. You will not feel the time going by at all. It's a really, really fun movie to watch. But yeah, that's the thought on Transformers. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Out.